Sports Wrestling Report. I'm partner Ryan. I am your host, Jamie. In this edition of IWR, we're going to do our 2012 TNA Against All Odds review. Just getting off the air with the pay-per-view. Pretty solid effort from TNA this time. Not to the poor standards that it's been over the past couple months. A pretty solid effort, pretty much up and down this card. We're going to run down the card for you. First matchup, we had the number one contender match for the X Division Championship featuring Jesse Sorensen going up against Zema.
Yeah, I mean, this was a solid, X Division match. They did some good spots, and then it just ended abruptly, and with Zema doing a moonsault to the outside and just right at the knee, just hitting, Sorensen right in the head, knocking him out cold, like no storyline, no nothing, just knocked him out. He crashed, his arm went limp. Yeah. And then, Zema playing it off, like it was supposed to happen or whatever. I know this was for the X Division number one contender, but it's more like the Knockouts division. That's number one contender.
That's genius,
dude. I mean, with the spray and then...
The spray and how he just kind of...
You see how I put that together?
He kind of looks like a girl.
A little bit.
And then he...
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a Zema and Gail Kim match.
Yeah. That would be, that'd be solid. Let's do it. It'd be pretty solid. Very interesting way to put it there. But yeah, Sorensen getting his ass knocked out in this one off that moonsault. Pretty interesting to see there. Just absolutely going limp, and you could just tell it right off the bat. We didn't really tell because right when that kind of happened, we were kind of like paying attention, and then it's like we looked away, and then all of a sudden it's over, and we're like, what the hell just happened there?
Thought he was going to jump in the ring.
Thought he was going to jump back in the ring because Ion was playing it up to where it almost looked like something was supposed to happen like that, but then he was just down and didn't get back up. We saw the officials come back out. Hope Sorensen's all right after that. Hope to see him on Impact's coming up soon. But Ion getting the number one contender for the X Division title off that. It'll be interesting to see how they go out of this, but a very interesting way to start out the card. Next matchup, we had the Open Challenge match. It's not one listed for the card. Robbie E coming out and challenging anyone out of the roster to come and have a match with, and it ends up being Shannon Moore. Very interesting competitor coming out there. Not really seeing Shannon Moore on TV at all lately, and it's just kind of something that TNA does. They've done these open, challenges before, and it's just kind of those underwhelming kind of things where it's just like, really? Just why do they even need to do it? I would have thought it would have been maybe like a returning Mr. Anderson or an RVD, kind of like those guys that are real stars of Impact, but not seeing that. Just seeing Shannon Moore come out, and it's just like, ugh. But seeing Robbie E get the win in this matchup here, nothing really special, just really kind of dragged for about the 7-8 minutes it really went on, and Robbie getting the win, and really something that could have been safe for Impact and could have gave more time to something else on this card.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like he said, I mean, it really did drag. I mean, you're thinking, okay, they're throwing another X Division type match on here, get a little bit of something out of it. But this really did drag. I mean, it didn't hurt anything. They didn't go a bunch of shenanigans. I think the right guy won in this. I mean, unless it was like an Anderson or a Rob Van Dam coming out there to take the TV title or something to give them something to do. Yeah. I think that made sense, but really just didn't need to be on the card, but I don't think it really hurt much of anything.
Next matchup, we have the Knockouts title on the line featuring champion Gail Kim going up against Tara.
Yeah, I mean, this was, I had promise when it first started. It just seemed like it wasn't as good as what they could have done. It seemed a bit sloppy at times. I know they tried to do some different spots here and there. Madison Rain was out there, and she ended up just leaving Gail out there by herself. Yeah. I think they almost wanted to do it like that, to have Gail get pretty much like a clean win here, where she wasn't, because a lot of the wins she's had, in TNA, she's been getting help. Sure. Obviously, she doesn't need it, with her ability, but the character she's playing, the heel she's playing, she gets the help. Could be seeing, some dissension between Madison Rain and Gail, Gail Kim. Love to see a match with them. But Gail Kim gets the win here. Tara playing it up with her knee being hurt or something after a moonsault. So it is what it is.
Yeah, this one really had promise of something that could be pretty special of the Knockouts division with these, as we said in the preview, the kind of veterans of the Knockouts division. Is Gail Kim's role as Knockouts champion. She just brings that kind of solid stability in the Knockouts division every single pay-per-view, it seems, and week in and week out. That's just what you're going to get. And it seems new challenger after new challenger. We've seen the Velvets and the Mickeys and now Tara. We just seem to get, pretty solid stuff, to the point that it's, before Gail Kim was there, we were getting stuff that, was just not even needed. And, this at least some sort of, has a reasoning at least to be on there, at least to focus, a Knockouts division out there, and at least there's something formidable to put out on the screen and be watched at least. And Gail Kim retaining the title here, it'll be interesting to see how that dissension with Gail Kim and Madison goes on in the weeks and months ahead. Next matchup with the TNA Tag Titles on the line. champions Crimson and Matt Moore going up against Samoa Joe and Magnus. Samoa Joe and Magnus being on a pretty good run here as of late, really getting over on Crimson and Matt Morgan over the last couple impacts and really coming to a head at this past impact, which was in England, and really obviously Magnus was over and Samoa Joe over as being those guys that obviously Magnus being from there, and then Joe being that wrestling guy that those kind of fans absolutely fall in love with. So really looking over there. And coming into this matchup, I really thought that they could come out as the winners and the new champions, but I really didn't see it because I thought they'd continue this run with Crimson and Matt Morgan, those kind of stock TNA guys they fall in love with. But Crimson or Samoa Joe and Magnus getting the win in this matchup and new tag team champions. Pretty solid matchup here. Basically to the point, if not a little bit better than their previous pay-per-view matchup. But very interesting to see Samoa Joe and Magnus come out as the tag champions. Really, it's to the point in this tag division to where they could start flip-flopping and doing some interesting things with the division with not your solid, stable tag teams that they've had over the months past, like the Machine Guns or the Beer Monies. You could start to do some interesting little things, and that's exactly what they're doing with Samoa Joe and Magnus. And I'm intrigued to see where this tag team goes. And obviously, it's great to see Samoa Joe on TV and now Samoa Joe champion. I can't remember the last time Samoa Joe was champion, probably when he was world champion back in 2008. I can't even remember if he's been champion since that, but it's been a long time. But now we're going to start to see more of Samoa Joe and increasingly getting better in Magnus, which we've seen more and more of him. So hopefully this tag team can start to gain. We saw some more double team moves out of them. So hopefully see them game in their chemistry. But new tag team champions in Samoa Joe and Magnus.
Yeah, I mean this was good to see that this solidifies at least Joe being in pay-per-view matches.
Yes.
And Magnus is getting better. And I mean, if you look at it on the other side, I mean, at least Crimson and Morgan are saving on their insurance.
That's true.
So
there's more time for them just to go camping.
Go camping together, yeah, or play sports.
Be on the same softball team.
Yeah, go
get Slurpees together.
Slurpees, whatever.
Just Crimson get a red one and Matt Morgan get a blue one.
BFFs.
Best friends forever.
Best friends forever. But this was, like I said, a solid, decent tag match. The only thing I want to see with TNA is really them to if they're gonna make these makeshift tag teams, maybe put some effort into maybe naming the team, having some matching gear, making them like a legitimate tag team.
We say that, but we were sitting there trying to come up with just names, and we just came up with the absolute worst names we could possibly.
Yeah, we couldn't come up with a name for them.
We don't really have nothing.
But at least some matching gear. I mean, Air Boom at least had matching gear.
True.
True. And they were a makeshift team. But
exactly.
I mean, that's WB, whatever.
Yeah.
But they get the win here. Good to see Joe with the title. Good to probably get to see Joe on pay-per-view and television a lot more. Deserves it. So solid, decent match there.
Next matchup, we had the X Division title on the line when champion A-Double Austin Aries went up against Shelley.
This was great. This was definitely the best match I've seen this year out of TNA.
Yeah.
What we expected the last 3-4 minutes of this was great. They kept us guessing. You could have seen Shelley win at this at any moment.
Yep.
Great spots. They did some great stuff with Aries being heel, going underneath the ring, coming up, just hitting all their big moves on each other, kicking out. There was an apron spot from Aries, a Death Valley Driver. You don't ever see that in TNA anymore. I mean, this was good stuff. This was really good. This was one of the best X Division matches I've seen in a long, long time.
Yes.
So it's definitely, if you watch anything for this show, you watch that match.
Exactly. As we said in the preview, these guys were going to go out there and attempt to steal the show, and that's exactly what they did. These guys just have such great chemistry. As we said with their past, they know each other like the back of their hand, and they really went out there and just, as I like to say, they went out there and flowed, and that's really what they did. They just were out there and just hitting everything, and just, like you said, just the spot after spot were just great stuff. The storytelling was there, everything was there. It was a really solid X Division match that we should get. That's what we should get out of the X Division. We should get these great athletes like Austin Aries and Shelley, week in and week out, pay-per-view out, put on these matches because that's what the X Division is. This is what this division provides. And, people that have, shit on TNA or done this and that. And this is what, like I said, this is going to be the core that really starts to liven up this company again because it's going to come from the X Division because that's exactly how this company started. And really, this is what we got out of it. And if we get this month in and month out, it's going to be something to look forward to. And I will absolutely be there for every second of it because this is an outstanding matchup. Be interesting to see, what goes on in the months ahead. I hope they continue this. Seeing Austin Aries get this clean win after just these nasty knee strikes into the brainbuster and then in the last chancery, just awesome stuff and just an absolutely great X Division championship match up there. And A-Double retaining the X Division championship for now, a champion of like 6 months. Great stuff there. Next matchup, we had the phenomenal AJ Styles going up against Kaz with the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels here. Yet, just like, the X Division title match, these guys have an amazing chemistry with each other. They know each other, but just like an Aries and a Shelley, and these guys went out there and had a pretty solid matchup here. These back-to-back matches were just really solid. Yeah. This one had a little bit more time. It definitely could have been up there with the Aries and the Shelley. The Aries and Shelley got some time there, but as we were saying, especially up to this point, TNA did a great job of not overbooking the bejesus out of this pay-per-view, and then they really did it to this point of this match too, where we could have saw just Daniels coming up on the apron and distracting a ref, or pulling AJ's leg. We did not see a lot of that, and in all honesty, with that amazing spot at the end with AJ going for the flying forearm, but went backwards and then the moonsault, this was a clean win for Kaz, hitting the fade to black and getting the win there. And just interesting to see, and you can tell it's going to continue with the element of Daniels in there, kind of being the mentor, the kind of puppet master with Kaz, and seeing this all continue with these three, absolutely great wrestlers and athletes here, and they went out there and put on a really solid matchup, which you get with guys like AJ Styles and Kaz. But Kaz getting the win off the fade to black, and it'll be really interesting to see how this continues down the road.
Yeah, I mean, this was great too as well. Definitely the second best match on this. And like you said, there really wasn't any shenanigans. I mean, Daniels out there chanting and yelling and screaming. Yeah. He wasn't really grabbing on the ropes. He wasn't distracting the ref. There really wasn't much of him doing anything. And he was just out there, getting the crowd heated. And I can really see, like I said in the preview, a triple threat down the line out of this possibly. Yeah. Maybe a tag match. I don't know. Who knows? It just seems like they're going to continue this. The matches that they're getting out of this, Kaz looked great. AJ looked great. This was definitely what, TNA needed with some matches like they had on here tonight, and I was very impressed with these last two matches.
Yeah. Next matchup, we had the sub-main event featuring...
Sub-main event.
I'm gonna say it like that because we're just going to
Oh, God.
We're going to say some stuff about this one that won't have anything to do with the match, but it's fun for us. Featuring Gunner going up against Garett Bischoff. Obviously, Gunner with Eric Bischoff in his corner and Garett Bischoff with Hulk Hogan in his corner. That's the only reasoning for having it sub-main over the last two amazing matches that we saw before that. The only thing that we got out of this, because, who cares about the match? Gunner won off like a fucking impaler DDT or some shit or
something.
Whatever. The only thing we got out of this, I got out of something different. He got out of something different. What I wanted to see is once I noticed kind of like the greasy, wet hair that you noticed with Garett Bischoff, it kind of went away a little bit and dried out and kind of poofed up. He started to look like Elvis Presley. And what I did notice was I kind of, segued that into him looking like a character from Grease.
Yeah.
And then I want to see possibly Cherry thrown in there. I'll get to it in a second.
Very nice.
I want to see a faction with Garett Bischoff, the head of it, T-Birds-esque. T-Birds-esque. They come out in motorcycles. Get a Deuce and Domino, a Cherry, gimmicked up. I mean, just
do it.
Leather biker jackets. I want to see it. Garett Bischoff. You could call it just the Bish-Birds, the B-Birds.
Fish-Birds.
The G-Birds. I don't really care.
Something birds.
T-Birds. Just Grease. Just Grease. His finisher is Grease Lightning.
Grease Lightning.
That's it. We don't even know what his finisher is.
We don't.
He's Eric Bischoff's son, so he gets to be in the sub-main event.
Yeah.
Over, what we just saw previously. But yeah, that's what I got out of it. So.
I mean, what I got out of it, I think they should change Garett Bischoff's name to Trigger, and have him team with Gunner, and it'd be Gunner and Trigger.
That's genius.
And I mean, have them, it'd be Gunner cocked and Trigger loaded, and their tag team's name would be Cocked and Loaded.
God, that just.
You like
I
that?
want that T-shirt.
Cocked and Loaded.
Just cocked and loaded.
Just
on the back
Gunner loaded. Just Gunner cocked and just Trigger loaded.
Just Gunner smacking himself in the face like an idiot.
And just Garett Bischoff. See, the thing I like about Garett Bischoff is he paid his dues. He got into TNA. He refed for a year.
Yeah.
He's sub-maining on a TNA pay-per-view with Hogan in his corner.
I mean,
he definitely deserves to be where he's at.
He's going to be a star, people. So just watch out.
Right. We're telling you right now. High five. Garett Bischoff paid his dues. He deserves to be where he's at.
Exactly. I mean, where else? It's main event time now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, main event. That's where we go next, right?
Right. Main event.
I mean, if you get to have a match over Aries and Shelley and then AJ and Kaz, I mean, you can't go anywhere higher from that right now.
Right. I mean, you can go to the main event.
Oh, yeah. I just want to see that.
But Jeff Hardy's in the main event.
True. So you're not getting over that. Slow down a little bit here. Which we will now get to the main event, which is the four-way match for the TNA World Title with Special Enforcer Sting, featuring champion Bobby Roode, James Storm, Jeff Hardy, and Bully Ray. I was really looking forward to this matchup. You know, this is really one of the most well-built main events that TNA's had in quite some time. Really had the kind of inner storylines between, you know, the Storm and the Roodes and the Storm and the Hardys and, you know, Roode and Bully Ray, and, you know, had some stuff with Hardy and Bully Ray and Hardy and Storm. Had a lot of interlocking things in this one. And then also throwing Sting in there as a special enforcer. Pretty interesting stuff there. And then getting into the matchup, had some kind of what TNA does typically in a three-way or a four-way matchup. They do these kind of double team things. You know, we saw Storm and Roode do their, you know, beer money suplex and play off like they were going to do the beer money champ, and then started fighting each other again there. You know, saw Hardy and Bully Ray do some stuff. So some pretty interesting things here. Getting down to it to where Sting ended up, you know, trying to hit Bobby Roode with the title, hitting Jeff Hardy with the title, and causing Jeff Hardy to lose that match, and Bobby Roode retained the championship there. You know, really nothing too special out of this match. I was hoping for a little bit more out of it. But Bobby Roode retaining the championship, great to see that. It'll be interesting to see what goes on with Sting and Jeff Hardy into the future. I made a reference just kind of joking around at the beginning of the night saying how Sting's on the Victory Road poster, and we all remember what happened at Victory Road last year with the debacle that was the Jeff Hardy and the Sting matchup, and we're just like, could they possibly just do something to where they do Sting and Jeff Hardy?
1 year anniversary.
We gotta have Sting Hardy too, right? I mean, you gotta have that rematch. Can only go up from last year, right? But Bobby Roode retaining the championship there, which is great to see, and hopefully moving on to maybe possibly get to that Bobby Roode James Storm 1-on-1 match, going into some sort of, you know, long feud or something like that, because that's really what I want to get out of it. But Bobby Roode retained the championship in this matchup.
Yeah, like it was okay. It was a solid one, you know, match here. Each guy got a couple spots here and there. They did their thing. Like I said, it could have been a lot better with what they could have had. They had maybe like 10 minutes left to go in there. I really think they might have, since the knockout earlier in the night, they might have just, left everything the way it was and really didn't add any time to something. But they could have added some time to some of this stuff that they did on here. But, not too much shenanigans at the end. But then they had, when he said it really made a lot of sense that, he hits Jeff Hardy with the belt, and they may set it up to have, a match with them and give us the match that we never had, and blah, 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 blah. And we joked about all kinds of different things they could do with it. But
it's going to make Quad so happy.
It is. He's going to be
Aren't you happy about that, bud? I know you are.
Quad is just so happy right now. He's going to rage like a mo effer.
Oh, watch out.
But, yeah, I mean, Roode retaining here, good move there, and hopefully, like he said, goes on to this Roode Storm here. So, solid pay-per-view. Yeah. Hopefully, we continue to get some good stuff out of this.
Exactly. Hopefully, this can continue, maybe start a trend of something for TNA that can get, this solid stuff. We're not asking, TNA, we're not asking for amazing stuff every month. We just need solid stuff and gain off that. And that's exactly what you should do with this pay-per-view. Next, month of Victory Road, then going into lockdown, which is a very big pay-per-view in their calendar years. So, hopefully, getting something started there, we can get some solid stuff out of TNA, which is, baby steps here, which is what we can do from after 2011. But this will now end our 2012 TNA Against All Odds review from our partner Ryan. I'm your host, J-Man. Thank you for watching another edition of the It's Wrestling Report, your source for professional wrestling news, information, opinions, instantly.